it's actually doing the tarbiyah of society. So we've got premarital counseling sessions at Taluk as well. A girl or a boy reach a marriageable age, their parents, if the girl or the boy don't have anyone on their mind, the general thing is that the parents would look for a potential. And if
Welcome to In Sync, a podcast about the lives we all want to really live and figuring out how to get there.
Hi everyone, welcome back to InSync. I'm your host Anmol Irfan, and today's episode hones in on what InSync is all about: intentional living. Our guest today is an early childhood educator and proudly in her homeschooling mom era. Mehak Razaque is the founder of Taluk, an educational services platform meant to help people lead meaningful lives, where she offers workshops with a focus on both adults and children to help them bring about change away from the same systems we are all stuck in. So Mehak, I am so excited to have you here today, talk more about Taluk, about homeschooling, and really what you're doing outside of a system that so many of us can't seem to step out of.
Jazakallah khair, Anmol, for such elaborate intro. And Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I am actually really overwhelmed and grateful today for Anmol, to you especially, to just give me this opportunity to come here and talk about Taluk and what we're doing with it. So it's just really humbling. So Jazakallah khair to you for that.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. But I think with being a mom, I know sleepless nights are a thing, and getting out of bed in the morning isn't always easy. But what is it that motivates you to get out of bed every morning and get started with everything that you're doing?
On the non-philosophical end, and if you just want a really honest, cut-throat answer, it would be my toddler, who's 2.5-year-old, my son. So he wakes up and my day starts. So it doesn't matter how late I'm sleeping. When he's up, I'm up. So that is my routine for the days when motivation doesn't kick in and life just happens. So it is what it is. But yes, on a deeper level, many days when I just get some time to myself, when my child is sleeping and I am just journaling my thoughts in my journal. So one thing that really makes me want to do something is the fact that I don't want to experience a heavy chest at night. Because I've been always somebody who has worked with people. And when my son was born, I wholeheartedly, willingly, voluntarily went into this, amazing role of a mother and being a 24/7 caretaker for my son. But then there are nights when your chest becomes really heavy and you feel like you can't breathe. And I'm not talking about that, I have anxiety. Anxiety is something totally different. But just, this call from your body that, maybe you're on your phone too much. And you shouldn't be on your phone too much. You've got time. So just do something, with your life and just give back to society in any way that you can. So that is actually the motivation to play with my child as well, to do what I do with him, but then also to do something for myself. It's actually, if you think, it's kind of selfish as well, because I want to keep myself sane. I want to be happy around my child. So that would happen when I look after my body, my mind, what are the skills that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me, and just, do something with them.
I think you've touched upon such important points, and we really need to recognize that heavy feeling in our chest, like you said, right? Like when we are sleeping at night, are we satisfied with ourselves? Have we done everything we can, like you said, for ourselves selfishly, but also for our children, for other people? And you've been teaching children since before you became a mom. So you have experience,
Yes.
working with other people's kids. Even after your son was born, I believe you were teaching in school as well. From your experience teaching, what's one thing that our system misses out on the most that you would like to instill in your child?
I think your question demands two answers. So system is designed for us parents, right? we are the ones who want better things for our children, and the system actually does cater to our what we desire, what we want to see in our children. But the answer is layered, and it's got two layers. One thing is that I'll simply talk to the parents first, and you're a parent as well, and we as parents, we always want the best for our child, right, Anmol?
Yeah,
And
100%. I mean, that is non negotiable for us.
yeah, and that non-negotiable starts from even from the day you conceive. You want to eat your best, you take advice from the best doctors, then you do everything by the book. But then when it comes to education, you everybody, and this is what I felt after I became a mother, that somewhere in your heart you want your child to outshine and be the best in everything, even the best in the way they achieve a milestone in life, how well they are eating, how well they are chewing, how early they started to walk, how early they started to talk. So it then seeps into our desire for getting best education for our children as well. And in that desire, we kind of look around and we see other parents whose children may be doing little bit better than our child, better in not way that we're comparing them, but they're ahead of our child. Our child's milestone was later than that child. So then that competition starts, and you don't even realize one would be, and this is what I've seen happening with myself as well, that I started running a race without even realizing, where I just wanted the best for my child in education. And I actually, and sometimes getting that best, what best according to the standards of the society, makes us deaf to the needs and to the calls of our child, to the pleas of our child. And we kind of tend to say कि भाई हम इनकी बेहतरी के लिए ही तो कर रहे हैं, मतलब this is the norm, this is how we're gonna be doing this, everybody does it, everybody has to go into the system, and this is the way. So I think that is where the first connection void happens between a child and a parent, where the parent wants the from the if they want the best thing for their child, and they've got the bestest and the most sincerest of intention for their child, but they're not listening to the child, how their child is reacting to to the environment, how you whether your child is actually ready to get into the system or not. And secondly, the system knows that so to answer, the second layer is actually the system. So the system is designed for that thing only, where they want to tell the already hyped up parent that we're going to give the best to your child. But that best is also in the interest of parents and society in general, rather than the interest of the child. For example, I have this thing with generally I have this thing with preschools where children are meant to wake up in the morning, okay? And initially, when there is the settling in period, the school actually mentally prepares the parents that your child is going to be crying, but you have to be strong, everybody does this, and it will be all right, they will be all right. And this is how it goes, that after some time the teacher takes in the child, and the parent is told that your crying child would be fine, they would be fine, we'll distract them, and life goes on. I have listened to a lot of child psychologists, and now even in the West they say that the child doesn't really settles themselves in that stressful environment. They just realize that I'm gonna cry, and mama or baba are not gonna come. This is what my life is. So the first connection void happens there, that this is something I have to live with. They're not going to be listening to my cries. So after some time, the child stops crying. And this is what happens. So the connection is missing. And as the children grow older, they they start connecting less with their parents, and they start connecting more with the peers in an age where the adult attachment is needed more than peer attachment. So, and then this whole tarbiya void then happens, because when a child is spending 5 to 6, even to 7 hours of their most active part of their day in a system that is designed to only uh, pour in information into your child, and the child then comes in, then they have to go for other extracurricular activities, they have to get into sports as well, they have to the parent has planned their child's day in such a way that where the child is not getting time to just relax and be bored. So then that void happens, that the बच्चा आपके पास बैठ ही नहीं जब रहा है, when the child is not sitting with you and connecting with you, then that connection void happens. This is the thing that I feel that's most important, and now in this day and age we're lacking.
I think that perspective that you just shared with us is, for a lot of parents who are listening right now, I'm sure that's giving you a lot to think about. And I know, Mehak, from our previous conversations, that was some of your biggest motivation to actually shift into homeschooling. So I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit about that as well for our listeners. What are the biggest challenges you faced? What's been the most surprising aspect? And how is that journey going?
Mm, if in just one sentence you want to ask me how is that journey going, I think before even my child, I'm thriving as a parent, and as a result of that my child is thriving because he is getting that energy from me, that my mother knows what she's doing, because he looks up to me, because he's 2.5, and he is in that age where my husband and I are the center of attraction for him. He looks up to us. He gets his his nervous system regulated by looking at our relationship and everything. Homeschooling, I would not recommend it to everybody, because for that you need to be the child needs to be in an environment where the parents are on the same page. The parents argue, the parents fight as well, but the child sees that the parents have repaired as well. It's not a dysfunctional household. So if you and your partner are on the same page in terms of what you want from your child's life, then homeschooling, you can think about homeschooling. Secondly, if you have the tools to regulate yourself, then yes, you can homeschool. And if you are willing to learn along the way, because homeschooling is not something that you're going to be knowing everything for your child. So if you have that mentality, to have that rigor in you to learn with your child, and have that physical and mental energy, and if you are in that season of life where you are not caught up with so many responsibilities, then for sure you should look into homeschooling, because homeschooling is not for a mother. From my perspective, people do it, and there are other people who can better guide them well, but in my experience, that mother is far better, who gets time to herself when she does house chores and the child is doing their own thing in school. And the child, when they come home, they find a mother who is well rested, who did her chores as well, and she's playing with her child. Then she's doing absolutely right. So homeschooling is not one size fits for all. And the challenges that come with it is that, firstly, it's between the spouses. The spouses should be like a team, and one spouse and both the spouses should deal with their families independently. So if in my case, my husband is the one who actually answers the questions of his parents, his extended family and everything. That is where I don't talk. And when it comes to my family, my husband keeps to himself, and I explain everything to them. So I think that really helps as well. So it will not taint the relationship of spouses, that your mother said this thing to me, or your cousin said this thing. So there are boundaries that we set. And then you have to have that courage that many people are not going to be agreeing with you, and it's all right. But if you know that your child is happy and you are now happier, and you get more time to connect with your child rather than putting them on a schedule where your child's whole life is designed to just go to school, so they can't go to late night dawats because they have to have school in the morning. They have to go to school in the morning. They can't be for example, they have to have their nap because then next morning they have to go to school, or they can't eat this thing because the school lunch box doesn't allow this. So now the school is not governing the schedule and routine of your child, you are. So that is something really interesting, and I think people should at least give it a go in only for 2 months, if they think, just to see what are the joys of homeschooling, and it's actually not scary.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe you offer a homeschooling workshop at Taluk as well, right? And that brings me to talking about Taluk, which I'm so excited about because I don't think we have a platform like this in Pakistan or even in South Asia, from what I've seen, where you're covering the kind of holistic topics and workshops that you're introducing. So tell us a little bit about how you decided to start it and what makes it so important in today's very fast paced world.
So taluk is an Urdu word that means connection. But English cannot really give us that deeper meaning of what this Urdu word holds. So Taluk is an educational services platform, and if you would want to ask me, just in one sentence, you tell me, Mehak, what it is. It's actually doing the tarbiyah of society. It's just that. And Taluk has been sitting with me for the past couple of years now, and I just didn't have that courage to actually bring this brainchild formally into the world in a way that I can introduce it as a educational services platform. And this thing was holding me back, was the very thing that what would people say. People will tell me, oh, you're doing tarbiyah of society. Do you think that you don't need tarbiyah any longer, that you think that you're so mature to do tarbiyah? Or just because of the fact that, oh, so how society works, and you don't even have x many years of experience in your marriage, and you're going to be telling people what to look for in partners. So a lot of questions were there. But then every night, and coming back to your first question, what keeps me up, what really wakes me up now in the night, is the fact that I know that the society needs it. I know that I can do it. I can actually try to do it. I'm not claiming that I know everything, but then this is the requirement of society. And I just came back from Hajj this year, Alhamdulillah, and it just felt like that, Allah just put this courage in me to, introduce Taluk as a platform, educational services platform, where we talk about different things. So we've got premarital counseling sessions at Taluk as well, and uska bhi yahi hai कि tarbiya, because I think there is more tarbiya for the young people regarding which makeup artist to go to, what designer to go to, what organic mehndi they should be applying on their wedding, or how many events should be, and what facial they should be getting, they actually get all sorts of counseling for their marriage. But when it comes to really preparing for a relationship, for a long-term relationship, for a divine relationship, then there is zero tarbiya on that. Because when in a general context, a girl or a boy reach a marriageable age, their parents if the girl or the boy don't have anyone on their mind, the general thing is that the parents would look for a potential. And if by the will of Allah both the families like each other, then the whole year is spent on, uh, on everything other than, the tarbiyah of the two individuals who are going to be in a marriage. But even before that, how do we prepare our young for marriage? Are we giving any sessions to our daughters or our sons regarding, beta, what are your non-negotiables? What is that one thing that you cannot forgive even if 50 years in a relationship pass? And if this thing happens, then the relationship is over for you then and there only. How are you going to be, in a society where we live in, how are you going to be balancing between your to the sons? How are you going to be balancing the moods of your wife, but also acknowledging the woman who has brought you into this world? So, we have not given these tools of these tools, these questions to our youngsters. So these are the things that then creep into the marriage after the honeymoon phase passes, because then, those aches and then those discomforts, they become your reality. So it's very important to actually know what you're getting into. And from the people who are Gen Zs, are our youngsters can relate to. They do not need 60-year-olds or 50-year-olds talking to them, because now there is a generation gap I've never seen that was in my era. The way I the maybe 20 years ago, two generations could still connect with one another, but now the language is different. So yes, we do not have any form of formal premarital counseling, but when you go to corporates, you've got management trainee programs, you've got, even if you go to a new university, there is a whole orientation session for everything, but not for these things. Then there is an other service of taluk that is for young women, and that's one of my favorite offerings of taluk, and that's called lisan. And lisan is basically language. Its root word, it's an Urdu word as well, and it's just that language. And it's the workshop is named after lisan because it is actually language for intimacy. How do you communicate with your partner of this day and age, who is willing to satisfy you in any way possible, but you do not want to hurt their feelings? You want to be respectful, but also at the same time you have to, you don't have that vocabulary to tell your partner that whatever they are putting their efforts into is not actually uh, ha- happening for you. So how do you actually respectfully, in a dignified way, in a respectful, loving way, with your other partner who wants to give you your happiness, you can help them. I've seen women who are into 5 years into their marriage, 10 years into their marriage, but they've never really, reached a climax just in bed, just because of this fact that, they're just too, embarrassed to talk about this. And it's likewise for men as well, but right now, Taluk is working on, a similar workshop for men, but currently it's for women. So it's not both of these premarital counseling and these, language for intimacy. It's not therapy. It's not life coaching, but it's a support group of sisterhood, where women come, women talk, women can actually relate with one another's experiences. They can come in, they can unabashedly ask their questions without any form of judgment. Then the third offering of taluk is for young parents like you and me, who see that, their child is, mm, you know mm, just tired, who sees that their child is right now not able to compete with our expectations that we need the best school for our child, and but the society tells us that you have to go to this preschool, then this school, then they have to be enrolled in these many extracurricular activities, and your child's English should be perfect, and your child should know 3 to 4 languages. But these parents are so tired, but they do not have that courage to actually take the leap and try homeschooling. But they think about it many times, but then they step back and they're like, no, it's not for us, let's see. So this is one thing. And the fourth offering of taluk is for our children. That's for children from 3 to 13 years of age, where we have different summer and winter workshops. And the idea of these summer and winter camps is not that we make them superheroes, like unka ye skill develop ho jayega, or they're going to be doing this or that, and your child would be coming out of a summer camp with that much value. uh, but the idea is that your child finds connection with adults in a way that we can talk to them about empathy, about bullying, about peer pressure, or what they like and how they would want to communicate to their parents. So it's a very holistic summer and winter camp where we uh, talk to the parent as well, and the parent is also involved in a way that the parent also finds tools to connect with their child better. And everything that I'm telling you comes back to the same connection, taluk. One of my teachers, Salman Asif Siddiqui, he says something really beautiful. He says that आप उस इंसान की तरबियत नहीं कर सकते हैं जो 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 आपका जिसके आप पसंदीदा शख्स ना हो. You cannot do tarbiya of of a person if you are not their most favorite being. So this is what taluk is all about. Tarbiya through our workshops and connections, so that people feel like they can come and talk to, and this is what our society really needs. I'm sorry if I've gotten carried away with what taluk is, but it is what it is.
No, I think it's so important to get carried away about the things that we're passionate about. And I say this to all the women that I interview, that I've noticed a pattern that whenever a woman that I interview rambles on a lot, even if it's super relevant and she's talking in detail because it's needed, they will always apologize. And the men that I interview often don't do that. And I think all of us need a little bit more of that confidence. So with that in mind, Mehak, thank you so much for everything that you've shared. Just a little quick fun question to leave our listeners with, after all the advice that you've given and given them so much to think about, what color would you be and why?
When you sent me this question, I was really thinking into many colors, but then this one color always keeps coming back to me, and that's blue. Blue is the color of peace. Blue is the color that I look really good in. Blue is the color that makes me want to write. So if I'm writing with a red pen or a black pen, I wouldn't write more. But if I'm writing with a blue pen, I want to write more. I have a blue notebook, and blue is just something that I feel like that it's the color of tarbiya. For me, blue is the color of tarbiya, and it's just I love blue.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm sure that all your fellow blues out there who are listening can relate. So with that, Mehak, thank you so much for being here today, for being our guest, for sharing everything that you did. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in once again. And we will be back very soon with another episode.